Now I am going to start a lecture on the topic blood-brain barrier. In 1882, Paul Ehrlich was a scientist who gave dye to an animal's vascular system. By giving a vital dye, trypan blue, he discovered during his experiment that all the organs, all the parts of the animal's body were colored except the central nervous system. So he understood that something is some sort of barrier is present between the vascular system and the brain. That some type of barrier is present in brain. Later on, the scientist got a clear concept on what it is made of and what are the functions of this blood-brain barrier and what is its importance. Really, our cardiac output is 5 liters per minute. So 15% of the cardiac output is going to the central nervous system. That means 700 to 800 ml per day. Going through the functions of blood-brain barrier, it will have protective functions. That means there are several toxins which is exposed. It is protected from the brain by the blood-brain barrier, and there are many microbes, especially particulate bacteria. The blood-brain barrier will show resistance, that more resistance, so that bacteria cannot come in the central nervous system. It also acts as stabilizers. That means our blood, in our blood, there is fluctuations in hormones, in chemicals, in ionic concentration. This should not be affected in the micro environment of neurons, because they need a constant micro environment so that the neurons can work very efficiently. Hence, they will be protected from rapid change in hormone level. That means during fasting our insulin level will be different, and there will be fluctuations in our hormonal level. During fasting state, when we exercise, there will be hormonal changes in our body, but this should not be affected in the central nervous system. It also act as holder. That means there is certain neurotransmitters which are normally present or which are needed in the brain. These neurotransmitters must be there. If there is no blood-brain barrier, the blood coming through this vascular system may wash out the neurotransmitters, and there will be a lack of neurotransmitters in the central nervous system. Hence, it also acts as a holder. These are broad functions of central nervous system. Here we have a diagram. This is a general circulation, and this is the arteries which supply to the central nervous system, and here are the capillaries, and it comes to and the blood is drained through the veins to the general circulations. Speaking, this is a blood-brain barrier. Here we can see the endothelial cells. In the blood-brain barrier, the endothelial cells are really acting as barrier. That means in these capillaries, first of all, there are 3 types of capillaries: continuous capillaries, fenestrated capillaries, sinusoid capillaries. In continuous capillaries, endothelial cells are arranged like without any junctions or without any gaps. So the molecules, it is difficult for the molecules to cross. Whereas in fenestrated, there is fenestrations. There is holes in these type of capillaries. In the sinusoids, there is more gap, and the molecules can easily pass through this gap. So these are the three type of capillary system which are found in our body. And continuous type of capillaries is present in central nervous system and endoneurium of peripheral nervous system and muscles. Fenestrated capillaries are found in many regions, and sinusoid are especially present in liver and spleen. So these capillaries which act as a barrier for blood and brain, these are the capillaries. Here you can see there are gaps in between, but these junctions are held together by tight junctions, and these tight junctions are made up of occludin, clodin, ZO1, so that molecules cannot pass through it. That means larger molecules, more polar molecules cannot cross through it. Then come this basement membrane, and then we can find astrocytes. Astrocytes are neuroglial cells which help. It is really not a physical barrier, but it help when if there is any defects or damage, or the tight junction is broken, it will help to remake it or make the tight junction and held intact. In the basement membrane you can see the pericyte. It is not really important, but pericyte is found there. So how all it is not allowing the larger molecules, which are polar molecules, to cross it. There is tight junctions here. There is no fenestrations. Fenestrations means there are no holes, so that molecules cannot pass through this. Even if some molecules passes through it, there is transporters. This is active transporters which pump molecules again to vascular system. That is, by chance if any molecule has come to the central nervous system, it will pump to the vascular system itself. They are primary glycoprotein, which are multi-drug non-specific. That means there is in these capillaries there are paracellular transport and transcellular pathway. This transcellular pathway means in between the junctions. This part of capillary is representing in the general body, where between many organs. In this one is indicating the blood-brain barrier capillaries which are present in blood-brain barrier. Transcellular pathway means between the cells when the molecules moves is called transcellular pathway, but it is not present in blood across the capillaries of blood-brain barrier because of this tight junction. Paracellular pathway is present when the molecules move across the cells. That means after crossing the cells they move. They are called paracellular pathway. And one such mechanism is this transcytotic vesicular transport. In transcytotic vesicular transport, here if this is an endothelial cells, the molecules will first make a depression, then it becomes a vacuole where the molecule is present in it, and it will bind to the other part, and it will be gone to other side of this capillary membrane. So when the molecule passes paracellularly through this mechanism, it is called transcytotic vesicular pathway. Now looking on what type of molecules will cross this blood-brain barrier is smaller molecules which are lipid soluble and which are not toxic. If they are toxic, they will be again pumped back to the capillaries by these active transport protein, primary glycoproteins. And if a larger molecule like glucose needs to enter to the central nervous system, there are glucose transporters. There are many type of glucose transporters. A type of glucose transporters is GLUT1, and this GLUT1 transporter is present in these endothelial cells. The GLUT1 transporter is insulin dependent type, a type which is not dependent on insulin, because the neurons microenvironment need a constant great supply of GLUT1, and they must not be fluctuated by insulin level. So they are insulin independent glucose transporters, GLUT1. It is present in this blood-brain barrier. And there are amino acid transporters for transport of amino acids. In the amino acid transporters, levodopa is a drug which can bind in the amino acid channel and enter into the central nervous system. This is really useful in Parkinson disease, because in Parkinson disease there is dopaminergic neurons which project to basal ganglia and corpus stratum. So in Parkinson disease, when this dopaminergic neuron degenerate, we need to cure it, to treat it, we need more dopamine here. So when dopamine is provided to the blood, it is not used, because this is a polar molecule and it cannot cross a blood-brain barrier. So a precursor of dopamine molecule, levodopa, can bind to the amino acid channels and enter to the brain. That means they can enter to the central nervous system. Then choline can enter, nucleosides can enter, thyroid hormones can enter, which are not protein bind. Free thyroid hormones, steroid hormones which are not protein bind, that means free steroid hormone can cross this blood-brain barrier. Then oxygen, CO2, water molecules can cross. H plus cannot cross because it is a polar molecule. The astrocytes are not a physical barrier, but it covers 80 to 90%, but it actually that means if a molecule is present here and it cannot cross a blood-brain barrier, it will reach here and it cannot cross a blood-brain barrier. But the same molecule, when it is going out of the central nervous system, it will cross the astrocytes and stays here. It will help to form blood-brain barrier, but it is not a complete physical barrier. It can be clearly understood in a tumor in the central nervous system. The astrocytes are not formed, and the capillaries are formed. So when these patients are provided with radioactive materials, the radioactive materials will reach the brain. This is an indicative, or it is a diagnostic method for if there is a tumor in the brain or not.